So we are recording? Oh, yeah, I see we are.
Yeah.
Good.
When it's Joe's or Kimberly's turn, do you guys want my video off so that there are fewer faces?
Oh, I will
to
take
them?
care of that.
Oh,
I'll do all that.
got it.
So maybe you should go through this and we'll get Kim caught up maybe. She's third, right?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, do you see your chat box?
I do now.
Okay, can you open it?
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you're speaking, you're in your presentation, my video and all videos will be off.
Mm.
And all mics will be, you'll see the mics are off like this.
Mhm.
And the only video it's going to be on will be yours. You'll be the spotlight. You'll be in the center screen here. And I'll be keeping track of time, and I will type in 3 minutes like this here. That will be your cue. We got 3 minutes. Do you see the 3 minutes in the chat box?
Yes.
Yes?
Mhm, yep.
Okay, good. That'll be your cue to start winding stuff up. Excuse me. Then I'll give you a 2 minute, and I'll give you a 1 minute, and that way you'll know that it's time for you to just simply say, thank you so much. Now, in the very beginning, when I bring you on, and I will say, the stage is yours. Remain quiet till I do this. Click off my video and my microphone. Then you start talking, okay? And the same thing at the very end. When you get done and you're going to wind up your talk, you will say, thank you so much, yada, da, da, da. And then that would be my cue to cut my mic on and open up my video, cut it back on. Everyone else will be off. And I'll cut back in and thank you. And I'll ask you to give your web address and your email address and that sort of thing. And that's basically the way we're going to do it. Any questions?
And the reason we do that is we want some editing time for the video because we'd like to create each individual video. And so if there's just like when you're done, just like be quiet. It's going to seem like an eternity probably. It's going to be like a second before Jim comes on. It's going to seem like an hour. Just
I'll take you through a little visual tour this morning of Speaker's Pathway for about the first minute and a half before Joe, you come on, and then I'll bring you on board and introduce you and that sort of thing. And I'll say the stage is yours and we'll kick it off just like that. That way you'll see the importance of the video. It's going to be individual videos. We've got them posted there on speakerspathway.com. So therefore it's going to be there. It's also going to be posted on TogiNet Radio. Well, that's a station me and Don have a show on. We worked that out yesterday. We've got to go through all the process.
making you world famous across the land.
That's right.
I'm gonna go stealth and I'll be lurking in Facebook land and I'll leave this in Jim's capable hands. Thank you again so much for doing this. Let's bring energy. Let's bring fun. Let's bring high energy to this thing. All right.
Good. Thank you, Don. Great to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Rock soon.
Yeah.
And if we only have 2 speakers a day, well, we just have 2 speakers a day. And because I don't know what the deal is, whether she can get in or you see this Speakers Pathway Coalition is the spotlight. Okay, there we go. I think we can see somebody coming in.
Somebody just popped in.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kimberly. How you doing? Can you cut your video on, please?
I thought it was. Let's see here. Ah, there we go.
Hey,
Operator
good morning.
error. Good morning. I apologize for being late.
Oh, that's okay. We got about 4 minutes before we start. Turn your chat box on because I just explained to them that when you're talking, your mic and your camera is the only thing will be on. Everybody else will be muted and off.
Okay.
And I will give you a countdown, looks like we do on the radio show, from 3 minutes to 2 minutes to 1 minute, that sort of thing. That's your cue when you see that pop up. I need to start wrapping things up.
Okay.
Now, when I introduce you, you'll see Joe go first and then Katie. I'll just bring them on board and then I'll say, okay, the stage is yours. Then remain quiet till I kick off my video and you see my mic get kicked off like that. Then you will start speaking.
Okay.
And the same thing at the very, very end, we want you to, after you thank everyone for paying attention whatever, and then remain silent. And then I will unmute myself and turn my camera back on, and I'll come back to you. Thank you for being on the show. And I'll say, please share with us your website, your email address for those who want to get in touch with you, yada, da, 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 and then that's it.
Okay.
Very clean, very
Excellent.
simple. Now, when I kick off the show, I'm going to take you folks through a little tour of speakerspathway.com, which will take about 1 minute, maybe 1 minute and a half, depending on what I want to say. And you'll be able to see how your individual video will be posted there. You'll see how others are doing it. We've got about 20 something there. We got a bunch more to do. We got to get them edited and separated and all that. So that's a wonderful thing. So we got about 2 minutes before we go live, about a minute and a half. So I'm going to cut everybody's video and camera off. Camera and video, same thing. Mic and everything. So we'll be with you in a few.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to another series of messages of inspiration, hope, and support. I'm Jim Grant, your host. I'm the co-founder of Speakers Pathway Coalition. Speakers Pathway Coalition sponsors this series. Is it okay if I share my screen with you and show you a little bit about Speakers Pathway Coalition and some of our free gifts there? Let me share my screen here real quickly and show you a little bit about us. When you go to our homepage of Speakers Pathway Coalition, this is the top of the page right here. You can see we got complimentary gifts. We got TEDx training there. If you click on the TEDx training, you'll see where you can get Don McGrath's 5 simple steps to a kick butt TED Talk. And also too, Don doesn't stop there. If you go down a little further, you'll be able to click on this here and get his free offer on the speaking course. That's very, very important. How to grow your business through speaking, especially during these times when people are using the virtual stage. Also on Speakers Pathway Coalition, pardon me for jumping around here a little bit, but we have complimentary gifts. So you can click on that tab right there. Koji Samaldi is one of our executive training directors. He has a free video on it. Mr. Bill Heinrich is one of our training directors. He has a Supercharge Your Law of Attraction. And Dr. Sony Jackson, she's got a content checklist for converting streams into clients. Tambra Blankenship. Tambra is a cancer survivor. She's got a celebration journal for cancer sufferers and any other disease. And of course, Dustin Matthews, How to Get Out of Debt, Boost Your Active Income, and Start Investing in Passive Income. Preston Martelli. Preston is one of our great, he's our webmaster. He's a great guy as far as branding and getting to the next level. He's got a complimentary brand audit that he will give you for free, and also 90 action steps to get you to the next level. Now, also too, as we go back to speakerspathway.com, the homepage there, you'll see messages of inspiration, hope, and support. And when you click on this particular tab, you see all the speakers that we've got there. We've got about 10 per page, and we've got several pages down here, as you can see. Therefore, when you see a person that's of interest to you, you click on them, click on their page, and their page will come up, and you can listen to their presentation there. Also, this tells you a little bit about them. And that's part of the things that we do at Speakers Pathway Coalition. We're all about paying it forward. We're all about providing value, because that's what we do not only in this day and time with the coronavirus scare, but also we do it Monday through Friday, every single day, or 24/7. But today we got three great speakers for you. First it's going to be speaking with us is a gentleman by the name of Joe Dietrich Jr. He's going to be talking about leadership in the face of adversity. Let me cut Joe's camera on and invite him to the show, and be sure and accept that. Can you cut the camera on? There he is. Hey, Joe, how you doing today, sir?
How you doing, Jim? Pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's our pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for volunteering, raising your hand and say, yes, I want to be part of this series of messages of inspiration and hope. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Joe to share his wisdom with us. So, Joe, the stage is yours.
Hey, thank you, Jim, and thank you for this opportunity. I'll be speaking on leadership in the face of adversity. But before I go there, I'd like to thank our first responders, our medical personnel, our firefighters, our peace officers and military for all their hard work during this time of crisis. And you know what? Not to mention our unsung heroes that are working at the grocery stores, our construction workers, and our waste management people that are doing such a great job. They're keeping our lives moving in this time of crisis. Okay, well, let's talk about leadership in the face of adversity. There's a difference in mindset during adversity when we're talking about leadership. We've seen this before. Leaders make quick decisions, and then things go south very quickly because of lack of perspective in adversity. You can imagine the different scenarios. We've seen it now. Hoarding of things, fear-mongering, but we have to keep safety in mind. For us to do that, we need to be mindful of our choices and be programmed in our leadership mindset. What do I mean by that? Negativity must be removed from the equation in our mindset. Fear must be changed so we can be in a solution set. So solutions can be revealed. When faced with crisis, we can do three things. We can retreat, we can freeze, or we can move forward. And I can tell you one thing right now, if you guys are here listening to this video or the replay, you are people that want to move forward. So let me tell you a story about something that happened to me. It was a great leadership aha moment in my life. It was back in 2008, and we just started getting into real estate after my first enlistment in the U.S. Army, and things were looking up. We had multiple properties, and we were moving, hustling, doing things. But then in 2008, you know what happened? The bubble burst. I tell you what, it was a time for me to either retreat, to freeze, or move forward. Hustling was not the word I would use to describe how I was feeling at that time. I was fighting for us to survive and digging deep to work 4 different jobs just to sustain the losses that we were incurring. But thank God we got out of that. We adapted. We learned from the experience. So to say all that, leadership takes action moving forward. So what can we do now? What can we do next? In our leadership mindset, we need to be solution-based, not fear-based. Again, in our leadership mindset, we need to be solution-based, not fear-based. So in a time of crisis right now, what are some of the actionable things that we can do? Well, let me just throw out some examples here. And I'm gonna use this term, it's called trimming the fat. You know, it's not an elegant term, but it's a term that we can use right now. It makes sense. So trimming the fat, what do I mean by that? Meaning, what are the unnecessary bills that we have right now that we can get rid of? Maybe what are some of the subscriptions that we're we're taking in that right now that we're not really taking advantage of, or is not contributing positively to our business? What about deferments? Personally, when I got out of the military, I just retired a month ago. And so I wanted to go into business, and now this happened. So I had to call my mortgage company and say, hey guys, you know, what's going on right now, COVID and everything else like that. I'm not bringing in the income like I thought I would be. And I asked them for a deferment, and they did. And guess what? As business leaders too, you can talk to your landlords if you're paying rent on your building and your brick and mortar and say, hey, can I get a deferment? And I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to assist. And not to mention that they passed that stimulus. There might be some benefits in there for you on that you can take advantage of. So think about it. There are some things that we can trim so you can come out better on the other side of this pandemic. All right, so we talked about deferments, talking about subscriptions, talking about bills that we can cut out. And one of the biggest things that we can do right now, if you're in business, if you're doing all this trimming the fat and taking things out, you know what? You might be able to help keep some of your employees that were helping out your business. There's a benefit to that. Leaders take action. You don't let negativity, don't let fear take control of good leadership in the face of adversity. So what steps can we take right now? What are some of the things that we can do to give ourselves a better outcome on the other side of this pandemic? So let me throw that out there. In a leadership role, leaders plan for the outcome in mind and start taking action right now. So what can you do in this new normal that we're facing right now? Plan for a better outcome. So what are the new norms that are going on right now? We've heard it in the news. We've heard it amongst our conversations. I've heard it from my other coaches that I work with and my mentors. We're hearing the new norms that's being quarantined, but not really, because we can still go about our business. People are feeling isolated in this new norm. People are stuck in their homes, but you know what? You're in your home. The lack of toilet paper. But you know, I think that's getting better. I've been to the market a couple of times and starting seeing the shelves with some stuff. Social distancing, the new norm. Well, you know what? That new norm is a temporary new norm. Leaders look to these new norms and seeing how they can grow and expand on the other side. Some of us know about new norms because of 9/11. We thought at that time that we weren't going to be able to travel like we used to. We weren't going to be doing the things that we thought we were being doing. We thought terrorism was going to be on every month, every year. But we found out that that wasn't the new norm. We found out and we adjusted. We started adapting. And we did have some new norms that carried forward, like security measures and things like that, but we were still able to travel. We were still able to live freely with some security measures in place. Going back even further, 2008, beyond 2008, in 1992, Hurricane Andrew came through South Florida. I was living there at the time. That was a pivotal moment in my life, learning about leadership in adversity. Homes were destroyed. We had no water. We had no electricity. We had a hole in our roof. I thought at that time that was going to be the new norm. Thank God it wasn't. My parents showed me great leadership in the face of adversity, and they're like, look, amongst all this chaos and mess around us, we got to take steps and move forward and start doing the cleanup, helping neighbors, seeing what they need. And we got through that. We found out that that wasn't the new norm. So what's going on right now? What are some of the positive things that are happening right now that we can think of that are some of the new norms? Families are learning that they can spend more time together, being creative at home, a friend of ours posted online the other day that, hey, we're camping outside in the backyard, having fun. A great new norm in the midst of this crisis. Friends of mine that I know that are in business are doing great things. A friend of mine posted online the other day that it took him 2 years one time to write a book. But during this time, he wrote a book in 2 weeks. And guess what? It was a book for how businesses right now can survive during this time. Other businesses are finding out. We have a friend of ours, and she has a brick and mortar business. And now she's like, hey, I got to get on e-commerce to provide my services and products to my customers that still need my services and products. Adapting, learning, growing. Restaurants are finding out that they don't have to just stick to just people coming to them. They're like, hey, we need to put a drive-up window. We need to have services that to deliver to the people that want our foods. And myself personally, and other people are finding out as well, right now is a good time for self-development, learning and growing, so we can be better on the other side of this pandemic. So our challenge is, what are some of the positives that you're finding out right now for your time in this adverse situation and leadership role to get better on the other side? So we learned about negativity, getting that out of the equation. We learned about fear and not letting fear control what you're doing. We talked about moving forward. We talked about positivities that are happening right now, positive things that are happening. So what can we do? You know what? Something else. People are learning people are learning new things by brainstorming great ideas. For example, we found out the other day that some people were getting together and they were sending letters to nursing homes so people can have some joy in their life, even though they're kind of, they're not being with their family members right now. So this group came together and said, look, let's send letters to the nursing homes to show them how we appreciate them, we love them, encourage them during this time of crisis. Just the other day, I saw another posting that people were thinking about, hey, let's send food to the first responders to show them how much we care, show how much we support them during this time because they're working hard, they're on the front lines. So what else can we do? What other positives can you employ in your life during this time that can benefit you, benefit others, and benefit the world during this time, in this time of crisis? And that's part of being in a leadership role in the midst of crisis. So this is my time. And I thank you, and I want to hand things over to Jim. And I do appreciate your time. Appreciate your time in learning this. And again, let's take these things about getting out negativity, taking away fear, moving forward, gleaning these positive ideas and that we're learning right now. That could be they're temporary new norms, but the positive things that we can make to turn them into long-term new norms in the face of this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for that wonderful, inspirational. I love the thing you said there about, be solution-based versus fear-based, because if you're fear-based, you're looking within. I don't have enough this. I don't have enough that. What if all these things that can drive you bananas. And when you're solution-based, you're really looking outward. You're looking how you can help and be a blessing to others. And I love, what Zig Ziglar used to tell people, that you can get anything out of life that you want as long as you help other good people get what they want. Because that's what we do here, and that's what you've done as a speaker, is pay it forward. We're looking for a return on energy. And that's when you bless others, you're going to be blessed yourself. And you said you just got out of the military. Is that correct?
Yes. I just retired with over 22 years of military service at the end of January. So
what branch were you in, sir?
Oh, U.S. Army.
Me too. What rank did you retire as?
Oh, I retired as an E7.
E7.
Our first class, for those that don't know.
I spent 31 years and 3 years active duty and 28 in the reserves. I retired as a master sergeant. I'm a former certified instructor. You may hear my puppy barking in the background as someone came to the door, so this is live. And but anyway, I want to sincerely thank you for being with us today. Thank you for your wonderful message. Thank you for remembering the first responders, because I got a grandson that's a police officer in Houston. And, you know, they still got to do their job. The doctors and nurses got to do their job. The fire people got, you know, fire crew got to do their job. I mean, it's just amazing how they got to continue to march and take care of us in our hour of need. And again, thank you so much, and appreciate you being here. And you can, if you got time to hang with us and listen to the other speakers, we'd love to have you. If not, you got to go. We understand that. But anyway, I just want to thank you again, Joe. Pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you, sir. You too. Let me cut Joe's video off there, and I got to bring Katie on. And let's see here. Got to give her the spotlight here. I got a bunch of things I got to do here, ladies and gentlemen. I got to unmute her, and then I got to make her the spotlight video. Hey, Katie, how are you doing?
So good to be here, Jim. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thank you. And most importantly, you're going to be talking to us about how busy parents working at home can integrate stress mastery. That's a great topic for the day. So let me cut my camera off and mute my microphone so you won't hear my dog barking in the background. The stage is yours.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Well, my name is Katie Kimball, and last year I became certified as a stress mastery educator, partly because I knew the world and my audience needed it, and partly because I needed it. I live a really healthy lifestyle, but I realized that if I didn't get sleep more and learn to figure out how to master my stress, I was probably going to end up eating really healthy food and with a stress-induced disease of some sort. 80% of doctor visits, even before all this happened, were due to stress. So we know it's an issue in America. And I feel like, there's definitely never been a better time and a more important time to talk about stress. So I'm a mom of 4. My kids range in age from 5 to 14. We got kindergarten, we got freshmen in high school, and everywhere in between. And even though I've worked at home for the last 10 years, and my husband and I both work at home in the same office for the last 5 years, this is still kind of flipping things on its head. There are some new strategies needed because it's kind of like summer, but I wasn't ready with reduced goals and reduced workload like I am when summer, when I actually know summer's coming. So I want to talk about to parents out there how this juggling act is hard. That's for sure. We got to start there by just acknowledging the fact that this is not easy. This is a big challenge for people, and it's okay if it feels hard. It's okay to talk about it being hard. But there are some really powerful strategies that you can employ in just a few minutes a day to help recharge your system and refill your tank. So when we think about a cell phone, I know people get really stressed out if they see that number percentage battery get low. Everyone's got a different threshold. Some people get it down to 3% and others are like, oh my gosh, 3%, I would die. We plug in our phones, right? We recharge them. And our bodies, our minds, our systems need that same sort of recharge. We're really designed as humans to oscillate up and down. We breathe in, we breathe out. We have awake times, we have sleep times, we have eating times, we have fasting times. And yet we try to live our lives in a flat line. We get up and we go and we just work really hard and we go to the end and then we fall into bed exhausted and can't fall asleep because we're too jazzed up, right? So this is about retaining or reclaiming some of that oscillation in your day, even when it's crazy, even if you've got kids and a dog barking in the background and parents trying to work at the kitchen table and it just feels out of control. This is about getting you back in control. And I love that Joe mentioned the word freeze. He used it a couple times. Sometimes crazy things happen and a situation comes up and you just freeze because you don't know what to do. And that's actually one of the 6 stress reactions, is to freeze up. Fight or flight is kind of the common stress reaction duo people talk about. but freeze is one of them too. So I want to start by just talking about the stress mastery definition of stress. I think all of us would define it differently. Some of us might talk about how we feel when we are stressed out. Some of us might talk about the things coming at us that cause us stress. But in reality, what stress is the balance between those two. Stress is what happens in the gap between your demand and your capacity. So if you think about your demand, that's what's coming at you. That's what's being asked of you every single day. And your capacity is the energy and the mental capacity that you have to bring to that day, right? And so when you think about, that's where stress happens, is when there's a gap, when you have too much demand and not enough capacity. So for example, if you get a really good night's sleep and you get up and you get your coffee and you spill it all over the counter, it might be a blip in your day. You just clean it up and you move on. But if you get a really bad night's sleep and the first thing you hear is a face in your face saying, "What's for breakfast?" And also my brother just hit me in the face. And you're coming down the stairs and maybe you have an ache in your shoulder, and all of that kind of piles up. And then you spill your coffee, you might be in a puddle on the ground with that coffee because you just can't handle it. Same situation, different capacity. So that's where if we can work with that sort of academic definition of stress, we can see that we can either decrease our demand to reduce our stress, or, and here's where stress mastery is awesome, we can increase our capacity. In the past, stress management techniques often talk about decreasing that demand. Dude, we are not always in charge of what's being asked of us. We have bosses. We have a coronavirus. We have a pandemic. We have a quarantine. We can't change that. We can't change what our kids' schools are asking us to do. So the demand is often kind of fixed. And so it's up to us to figure out new strategies that we'll talk about in the next couple minutes here to increase your capacity so that that gap is smaller and you feel stress in a less negative way. This is all about being energized by stress, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's also a message of hope, right? And you guys, I mean, if you are business people, if you're in, you have a job and you're working at home all of a sudden and you're feeling all of this stress, I bet you've had a situation where you have used stress as fuel, right? When you have a deadline, when you have a project that is like really big and needs to be done, or people are counting on you, shoot, sometimes just making dinner on time, you can use stress for good. You feel that stress of like, whoa, I have this big demand and I need to increase my capacity. It can fuel you forward, right? To get your work done faster and be more excited about it. That's what we want to do, is teach you how to make all of your stressors into fuel for good. It's about kind of filling your bucket faster than it empties, right? If you have a bucket of capacity, sometimes people are poking holes in the bottom of that doggone bucket and your energy is just draining out. So how can we plug those holes through positive strategies? How can we make sure we're keeping our bucket full but not too full, if that makes sense? So the really basics, and I have a whole 2-hour course on this, but in 15 minutes, the really basics of stress mastery is again about reclaiming that oscillation, finding times for rest during the day so that you can charge into your next activity or your next task on your list with more energy. Now, I'm not saying that for every hour you work, you have to take an hour to rest. Luckily, research shows that even 30 seconds, even half a minute, taking a little brain break, a little recharge break for your system can help you move into the next portion of your day with greater capacity. Thank God, right? That is good news. It doesn't have to be a half hour of prayer or meditation every 2 hours, right? 30 seconds can do it. Now, 5 to 10 minutes is better, but hey, I got 4 kids. We got like 2 businesses bouncing around in the same office. 30 seconds is going to have to do. We want to really build these habits of taking the breaks. Okay. We talk a lot about, in business, we have like proactive tasks that we do and we have reactive tasks that we do. And we want to make sure that we're not always just reactive. So it's important, even on a day when maybe you're not feeling super stressed, to build these breaks into your day, to be proactive about it and build a habit. That way, when something big crashes down and you do need to be like, oh my gosh, reactive to your stress, you need to react in the moment, like, I can't handle this, my stress is too big, how can I bring my capacity up? You're practiced. You have the habit. You have some skills and some strategies that you can call upon in that moment of high stress reactivity. If you don't have those habits, that moment of high stress reactivity, you probably are going to very quickly and very vehemently react with fight or flight or freeze or faint or tend or befriend. Those are the 6 stress reactions. And again, Joe talked about that like freeze sensation, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And I'm guessing in the last 2 to 3 weeks that a lot of us have had that sensation, particularly staring into a computer screen, particularly either when we've been asked to do something new and big, or when we've just read another doggone article about the coronavirus and how it's spreading. And we just kind of sit there and you just kind of stare. And you might even notice, oh my gosh, I've been holding my breath, which is foundational, by the way. Breath is foundational to our recharges. There's a 3-step stress mastery formula that unfortunately we don't have time in this presentation to really go into, but if you come visit me later, I can walk you through some of that. The 3-step formula is to assess your stress, appreciate it, and then adjust it. And we talk about your stress load, how much is being asked of you, your stress lens, kind of the way in which you see the world. Again, like the same thing can happen to one person and to another person, and they react totally differently. Their levels of stress are totally differently. That's your stress lens, your perception of the world, and your stress signature, how it shows up in your body. So for example, I have a stress mastery course for busy moms, and I got a text from someone in my course just yesterday saying, oh, this is so like, I'm so inspired and this is exactly what I needed. However, it's really hard. Like, I know what happens. I know I'm going to get a tension headache. I know I'm going to lift my shoulders up. I know I'm going to start holding my breath, and then it's going to turn into a migraine. She's like, but I don't quite know how to stop it. Right? I know what happens, which is great. She's assessed what's going on. She hasn't appreciated yet, and she hasn't adjusted. So the appreciate step, it seems weird, but it's important not to skip it. If you are feeling stress, if your demand is higher than your capacity, that means that you're important. That means you're doing good things. That means that people need you in the world. So it's really good and healthy for your mental state to take a break and say, you know what? The fact that I have so much that's being asked of me means that I'm important. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. How can I bring that, to the world and make that stress into fuel for good? That little tiny step, again, that was like what, 10, 15 seconds. It doesn't take long to appreciate yourselves, you guys. You are important people. If you are a parent and you have children, you are a very important person. If you're an employee and you still have a job, there is something important for you to do, and that's all connected. So appreciate, give yourself a little pat on the back. And then it's about adjusting. So for this mom she's getting the tension headache, she's lifting her shoulders, she's noticing she's kind of holding her breath, and then it's going to turn into a migraine. What a terrible feeling to be like, oh, now I'm going to get a migraine. She needs to figure out some strategies to circumvent that. Okay, so her stress signature, the way stress talks to her in her body, that tension headache it's a little bit of like waving a red flag, like, hey, your demand is increasing over your capacity. You need to do something, or else I'm going to be sending you a migraine. So her signature, her stress signs in her body are all very like inward. They're all very tense. They're very small. Me, I get kind of angry. I lash out in temper. So mine are very big and intense. And so that speaks to how we should recharge. If I have big and intense, I might need to go for a fast walk. I might need to go jump on the trampoline. I might need to do a load of dishes and just get something done. This other mom, hers are more internal. So she might need to get in nature. She might need to really do some breath work or write in a gratitude journal, things that are a little bit more low intensity, or do some yoga if movement is going to help her. But we need to circumvent those. We want to take at least 5 recharge breaks during the day. And so I'll talk about exactly what that looks like. But in general, if you are a busy parent, try really hard to start your day off, again, with at least 30 seconds of bringing focus, of priming your brain and your body for your day. Try to get at least 3 times during the day where, again, you take even if it's just 30 seconds and you walk away from your desk or your kitchen table or the living room where your kids are arguing, and you recharge. And that can be as simple as breathing intentionally for 1 minute. 3 times during the day. You can create a habit by hooking those recharge breaks onto other things that you actually still do during the day, a routine you actually still have, like maybe eating lunch, if that happens every day. I hope it does for your sake. Maybe taking a shower. I bet that's not happening every day for everybody though. So that one, maybe brushing your teeth. Let's hope we all brush our teeth at least once a day. You can connect the habit of a recharge break with a habit that you already have. You're more likely to stick with it that way. So at least 3 breaks during the day. And then at the end of the day, we want to prime our brains for sleep. We want to unplug. Still called a recharge break, but you're just recharging your brain after a hard day and filling it with more calm thoughts. One thing my husband and I realized is that once we get in bed, we better stop talking about pandemics, viruses, and anything that is stressful, because we were not getting good sleep during this time. So that's, really practically, we knew that we had to create this safe boundary around our bedroom at bedtime, that we can't talk about that stuff. And I still catch myself like, oh, stop. We can't do that. But just, again, that's assessing. That's that knowledge of what is going to be harmful to your stress levels, to increase, you're increasing your demand when you talk about stressful things. So that's where you can reduce your demand by not talking about the stressful things. All right, now to increase your capacity, which is, again, so powerful, the fact that nothing can change about your situation, but you can feel less stressed if you just bring your own personal capacity up. What we want to do is plug into brain science. I am such a science geek. I love that I got to learn about the way the brain works. And so I'm going to teach you in like 1 or 2 minutes here. The brain processes everything that comes at you, whether it's a sound or a sight or information, from the bottom up in your brain. And the very bottom of the brain stem, is very primitive. It's pretty much all of a lizard has. So scientists call it your lizard brain. And your lizard brain has one job. It says all day long, am I safe? 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 It's like a toddler. And I'm sure some of you are like, oh my gosh, my toddler does that. He has the same question all day long. It's driving me nuts and my brain is exploding. Okay. Your lizard brain all day is saying, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And just like that toddler who is trying to make your brain explode, that lizard brain will not shut up until it's satisfied, and it won't let you use the rest of your brain, which you need, by the way, because we have more to do than lizards if we're working at home and parents. That lizard brain won't shut up until it feels safe. So how do we make that lizard brain feel safe? We're actually in control of that, and it has to do with our breath. Your breath controls your heart rate. Your heart rate being at a steady level tells your brain that you're safe. How cool is that? So all you need to do during this short, again, 30 seconds, 5 minutes is better, quick recharge break, is start with breath. And the perfect breath is about 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. That's a little slower than a normal breath. Watch. 3, 4, 5, still inhaling, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the exhale. A ninja hack is to exhale a little bit longer than you inhale. That will actually initiate your parasympathetic nervous system faster and get you down to that lower stress level. So just take a minute. You can put your hand on your heart. That's a good tactile clue to connect your heart with your brain, and do some slow breaths. That will tell your lizard brain to shut up because it feels safe. Good job. Now you can move your processing into your midbrain, which is often called the monkey brain, because monkeys are a little higher level animal than lizards. They are very more into community and emotions. Your middle brain is where your emotions are housed. The middle brain is pretty much saying one thing all day too. It says, am I loved? Am I loved? So lizard brain, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Breathes to shut it up. Midbrain says, am I loved? Am I connected? So to feel connected, even if you're by yourself, which is usually a pretty good place to do a recharge, you're going to want to think of something you're grateful for, something you appreciate. And if you can feel that gratitude, the kind of gratitude that like blossoms out in your heart, like when you see your 5-year-old reading words for the first time, or when you imagine, your 18-year-old walking across the stage, which won't happen. So maybe don't imagine this, graduating high school, those moments where your heart just goes, oh, and just blooms over with gratitude. That, again, science-backed, research proven, impacts our stress level. So take a moment, think about that person or that thing or that activity that you did today or yesterday that you're just like, oh, I'm so grateful for that. And that will satiate your monkey brain. Okay, that will satiate your monkey brain, and now you know you're loved and connected. And then here's where the power comes in. Now you can process using the upper part of your brain, which is your human brain. That's where your executive function happens. You're processing your memory, your planning, your setting intentions, everything you need to do a good job at work. Now during this recharge, which my professor calls BFF, breathe, feel the gratitude, and then focus. We're going to focus on what we need to do in the next little portion of our day. And you can see how powerful this might be. Now, there's lots and lots of ways to recharge. And again, I've got a whole course on this, but For right now, I'm just going to toss a couple out at you. And you can see that some are higher intensity, like going for a run, listening to music, getting a good belly laugh, watching a hilarious YouTube video. And some are more low intensity, like prayer and meditation, working with a gratitude journal, that breath work that we just talked about, getting out in nature, hugging a pet, even being intentional with your time, eating lunch or being with your kids, right? It's one thing to like go play a board game with your 6-year-old, but it's another thing to play a board game and not wish you were still at work. That's my challenge for you, is the next time you get to spend with your kids, don't wish you were still at work, just focus and be present. And that can be a recharge for your brain. We can teach our kids to do this breath work. We do this a lot at the beginning of meals, and that'll help us digest our food better. So I'm almost out of time. But I do just want to give a couple like quarantine friendly tips. Right now from 11:30 to 3 in Eastern time, I'm in my indistractable zone, which means that we've told our kids, if you have questions, dad and mom might both be working, but you go to dad because mom has meetings. Mom is going to be getting her like really focused work done. So we call it, he's the parent and I'm the worker. We might both be working, but only one of us is allowed to be interrupted. If you don't do that, you know the children are going to go to the mom every single time. So mom, if you have focused work you need to do, you can say, I am indistractable. When I put on my headphones, you can wear a crown and your kids need to understand that that's time where you can't be distracted. The other parent can be distracted. So that's just a super quick focus. But also I highly recommend that you do this with your kids. Teach them to breathe. Teach them to practice that gratitude. That's actually the first day my kids' school was canceled. I said, we need a little bit of routine. I stink at organizing. I stink at routine, but I start out every morning and I tell my kids, good morning. What are 3 things you're grateful for? And that trains their brain to look for the positive in the day, because it's far too easy as human beings to see the negative all the time, right? So that's stress mastery in a very quick nutshell. Again, bringing your capacity up to meet the demands that are being asked of you by taking some breaks, by oscillating, by doing the breathe, feel, focus, BFF. And it only takes 30 seconds, about 5 times a day. So I cannot wait to hear how this goes for you guys. And I'm Katie Kimball. I'm a stress mastery educator. I have a full course for busy moms about stress mastery at kitchenstewardship.com/stress. So again, lots of good ways and right ways to do this. And it only takes 30 seconds to 5 minutes.
Wow, Katie, that was a lot of information there. I could just see a lot of moms and dads, especially moms, saying, tell me more. So again, if you'd be so kind as to repeat your website and your email address so people can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. You can find all sorts of information about cooking at home, which a lot of people are doing right now, at kitchenstewardship.com. The full Stress Mastery for Busy Moms course is at kitchenstewardship.com/stress. And I'm always available Facebook, Instagram, or email at katie@kitchenstewardship.com.
Okay, thank you so very much. And I really appreciate you being with us today and also raising your hand and saying, yes, I want to be a part of the series of messages of inspiration, hope, and support. Thank you so much. And I'm going to bring Joe back just for one moment, if I may, because I owe Joe an apology. I forgot to simply ask him about his web address and his email address for someone to get in touch with him. And Joe, my apologies to you. Let me give you the spotlight here for just a second. Joe, are you there? I guess Joe is not with us, or he might be away from his desk. But anyway, I wanted to apologize to him, and I will get that in the description and about his email address and his website. I got distracted because our dog was barking. There's Joe. Hey, Joe, let me bring you back on here a second here, brother. I want to apologize to you because I forgot to mention what's your email address, what is your website. So I apologize to you. Would you be kind enough to share that with us?
Well, definitely. I have a Facebook page. It is Coaching You to Success. It's Coaching You, the letter U, to Success. That's my Facebook page. And my email address is coachingyoutosuccess with the number 1 @gmail.com.
Great, great. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
again, I want to apologize for not for forgetting that because my dog was barking in the background. He's in the final stages of congestive heart failure, so you can imagine what emotional roller coaster that is for us. Any noise he makes, I'm just automatically on my sonar goes off. So I want to apologize and thank you for coming back and sharing it with us.
Oh,
And
thank you.
thank you, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is going to be a young lady, and her name is Kimberly KP. Kimberly, let me cut your video on there and unmute you and bring you to the show. And there she is. Let me make her the spotlight. There we go. There we go, Kimberly. Oh, I love that background. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. How are you today, Jim?
I'm doing real good. I'm very glad to be here. I'm very glad and honored to be a part of helping people with messages of inspiration, hope, and support because I need it. You need it. We all need it. And it's a wonderful thing. And you're going to be talking to us about embracing the suck.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, let me mute my mic and turn my video off, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Jim, for this wonderful opportunity to love, to serve, and to give a hurting humanity. I applaud this venue and this forum and everything that you're doing at the Speakers Pathway Coalition. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak life, because we know that one of the most powerful scripture verses that ever influenced my life was John 16:33, that says, "In this world, you will have trouble." And most of us learn that all too commonly as children, when we grow up in a broken world where we see a hurting humanity all around us. And I unfortunately learned the hard way that sometimes you do have to see the depravity of mankind. And I was forced out on the streets as a teenager. And the night that I met the man who intended to rape and kill me, I had this juxtaposition of the heaviness of this stranger on top of me with this overwhelming empathy and compassion and love for a hurting humanity that wanted to know what went wrong in his story. Where was his script hijacked from the lies that he believed about his worth, about how he treated other people, about how he even treated himself? And so I threw up what I called my Hail Mary prayer. I don't know if any of you have ever done that, but this whole, God, if you're real, please make him stop. And immediately he did. And so that moment I knew that in spite of the brokenness of this humanity, that sometimes we do get to see the light, and we realize that there's a God who loves us and has a plan for us. And I realized that night that as I would start to dig deeper into root causes of brokenness and why we hurt each other and why we hurt ourselves, that there would be light and there would be hope in my calling to love the unlovable. So I went on this journey because the secret was, most of the time, the unlovable was me. And so I had to dig deep inside and start to find out what went wrong inside of my heart and my mind and my body, my soul, and my spirit that made me do hurtful things to other people and to hurt myself. So I went on this lifetime journey through professional development, education, nonprofit work with the federal government, earning my master's in human relations, and really understanding root causes of brokenness and finding joy and finding love in the midst of trauma and adversity. So this idea of embracing the suck is really that every one of us has times that really do suck. And we say, is this all I have? Is this really what life is all about? And we get to dig deep and we get to go to the root of what I developed as this framework that I call Your Best University, where we start asking questions about, why am I here? How did I get to the place where I am today? And we start asking questions about identity and purpose, mission and calling, and things like our vocational resilience, like where are we vocationally, spiritually, mentally, physically, socially, financially. And we look at where am I and where do I want to be, and we help bridge those gaps. So we ask very, very introspective questions of ourselves, and we say, Where am I? How did I get here? And then once we start answering those questions, we can start to see a lot of the roots of what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about the world, what we believe about our capacity. And so many of the previous speakers have talked about this idea of really this mindset shift and saying, do I have a fixed mindset or do I have a growth mindset? And right now is an amazing opportunity to have a growth mindset where we say, okay, here's where I am, point A, here's where I want to be, point B, C, D, all the way to Z, and how do I get there? So we ask those questions and we start digging deep and doing that internal surgery where we ask, you know, why am I here? What is my purpose? Do I even believe that God has a plan and a purpose for my life? And so in that spiritual realm, maybe you don't have the faith that I do, but maybe you have some other grounding that says, maybe it's your physical realm of resilience that says, I believe my body is a temple and I will take care of this body. And this is what anchors me in times of trouble and times of adversity. And so we start asking these questions of how do you really fortify those walls, those protective walls that keep us safe from the attacks that are coming at us from all different angles, even in the best of times, but absolutely in the worst of times. And so we help people get from those, what are the lies I'm believing, and replacing them with the truth that will anchor us in the storm and will propel us into the overcomer story. Because we know throughout history, whether it's in business, whether it's in biblical stories or any other spiritual truths that we know, that times of trouble is when the growth happens. And so we can think in terms of post-traumatic trauma, or we can think in terms of post-traumatic growth, and really pressing in and embracing the suck and saying, okay, this is what it is. And we really just dig deep and press in and push through the pain. And we like to use the analogy of whether it's your caterpillar coming into being a butterfly, or whether it's literally labor and delivery, where you have to push and you have to go through that pain and you have to overcome the difficult obstacles that stand in the way and say, okay, what is the goal that I attain on the other side? And you keep your eyes firmly focused on that hope that drives you, that propels you into that overcomer story. Because we know that every one of us has scars. Every one of us has battle scars and stories of times that we've overcome adversity in the past. And so we look back to that and we say, what have I overcome in the past? What is my capacity? I think many of your speakers have talked about capacity already. And what is my capacity for overcoming adversities in the past? How do I stand on those promises and press into that truth and ground in the things that I know that are strong and really fortify those protective walls of resilience? So as we do that, we kind of talked about the identity and the purpose. So purpose is the first element of our framework where we assess those walls, those protective walls of resilience. So again, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, vocationally, socially, all of that. And we fortify those walls by asking that questions about purpose. And then we move into connection. How does this community that surrounds me speak life into me? How do they serve as the watchman on the wall who can see the blind spots that I may not even be aware of? And hopefully you're surrounded by people who are speaking life into you right now, not the naysayers who are bringing you down. And we like to say that you got to tune out the voices that are telling you lies and reinforcing negativity, and really choose love and choose joy and choose to be surrounded by positivity. Limiting our influences of negativity. Maybe that means a simple practice of, I will watch the news for X number of minutes a day, and then I tune it out. I move on to something that's affirming. I start with gratitude. I count my blessings. I look for the positivity. I look for the hope. I look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because we know that the rainbow always comes after the storm. So that community and the connection, that's our second element of protection and fortifying against the trials of this world, because we know that the reality is we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if those 5 people are constantly negating the positives and constantly bringing us down spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, vocationally, relationally, all of that, we are going to have a harder time pressing through to that overcomer story of truth and hope and resilience in the face of trauma and adversity. So we may need to minimize time around negative influences. And sometimes, unfortunately, that's family and that's friends. And we have to say, okay, let me really take my thoughts captive and guard my heart, guard what's coming in, so that out of the overflow of our heart, our mouth speaks, and the things that we're feeding our body, just like you are what you eat, you are what is being said to you and about you. That whole sticks and stones things, that's not true. We have to listen to the words of life, the words of hope, the words of truth, and the voice of truth that tells us your scars are going to be stories that will tell a tale of resilience and overcoming adversity. So we covered the first two, and now the third one is going to be, we've got our purpose, we've got our protection, and now we've got to look at provision. So how are we fortifying those protective walls of resilience so that we can thrive in the times of trauma and adversity? And provision is really about looking at, where am I, again, where do I need to be, and how do I get from here to there? So we had these questions about, how did I get here? What's my purpose? The second question would be, why do I stay? What's keeping me stuck from getting from here to there? And then how do I get there? So we ask these tough questions, but really they're simple questions. They're just tough answers. And we take the complexity out of life's deepest challenges, and we try to demystify that. So we break it down into simple steps, and we say it is not A to Z in one day. We're not trying to move the mountain overnight. We're doing it baby steps. You know, nobody climbs Mount Everest without ever summiting their first 14er. And I'm saying that because I'm in Colorado. We have all these beautiful mountains called 14ers that are over 14,000 feet. And if I have never summited a basic 14er, there is no way I'm going to just start with Mount Everest. So we've got to think about, we train our bodies, we train our minds, we train every aspect of all those protective walls of resilience to do the baby steps. Because right now, when times are tough and we've got all these trials coming at us, attacking us spiritually, financially, vocationally, all of these lies that are telling us, you're not going to make it, you can't do this. We have to think about, how do we fortify? How do we really anchor in on the truth, and so that we can shut out the lies and we can really step into the fullness of the promises of why we're here. And this is the greatest opportunity of any of our time of history, to be able to say, who am I and what is the dream that maybe God placed in my heart 20 years ago and I have been scared to act on? Well, guess what? This is the time. This is the time for your creative brilliance, that fearfully and wonderfully knit together in your mother's womb, that gem that only you possess, that thing that only you can do. And believe me when I say, there is a mission and an assignment that only you can do, the way that you do it, the creative brilliance that rises up inside of you. This is the time to pivot and say, okay, what do I have to lose? Really, truly, what do I have to lose? Right now, this is the best time of ever in any of our lives to take a chance on opportunity and to look for the hope in the future, to look at the resilience and look for that light at the end of the tunnel, and look for that rainbow at the end of the storm, because it's coming. Your rainbow's coming and your promise is coming. And so whatever it is, this is what I do, is my whole framework for Lovejoy CO is helping you replace the lies that you believe and to step into the fullness of the truth of who God says you are. And even if you don't believe in God, I will be your number one cheerleader and help to speak life into you and help to be that watchman on the wall that says, hey, did you see this thing that you've got that nobody else has? And speaking hope and speaking forth a promise that you can do it, that you are an overcomer and you have an amazing story of overcoming trauma, adversity, and really shining light in the darkness, the way that only you can do. So whether you're a mama, whether you've just lost your business, whether you're struggling financially, whether you're not sure your marriage is going to make it, whatever it is, The reality is I've probably been there. You know, you go from A to Z, and I've probably got a history of something I've done, something that's been done to me, something I've been through and overcome. So I want to speak life to you, because my name, Lovejoy, and my middle name, Possible, nothing is impossible. I want to be your biggest fan and cheerleader. So this is the time for you to rise up and to really propel yourself into that overcomer story of hope and resilience in the face of trauma and adversity, and really embracing that suck and saying, this is going to be the thing that defines me. How I respond to this right now, Charles Swindoll said, life is 90% how you respond to the 10%, that tiny little 10% of the circumstances that most of us have no control over. Do any of us have any control over quarantines, over social distancing, over forced business closures? No, but we have total accountability, total responsibility for how we respond. And so this is my call to action to you, is rise up and dig deep into that creative brilliance that you know has been burning inside of you for probably years, if not decades, and be all that God called you to be, and shine as that creative brilliance just radiates the world around you. So that is my message of hope and inspiration to you today. And I just want to say I love you. I'm praying for you, because I believe in each and every one of you. Even if I don't know you, I believe you are an overcomer. And I cannot wait to hear the goodness that comes out of this amazing opportunity for you to be who you're called to be. Thank you so much.
Wow, I really enjoyed your presentation. You're so bubbly, so positive and everything. You're like a breath of fresh air in this day and time. And thank you so much. I love what you said about the 5 people. We had a speaker on yesterday, Curran Nijaba, and he said, look at your 5 friends that you hang out with. You're average of that 5. That's the average bunch, you know. It kind of reminds me of when our parents told us you're known by the company you keep. And that's so true throughout the entire walk of life. But before we go and wind up this show, would you be kind enough to share your email address and your website for folks out there, please?
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. And I thought about how I could really bless people today. And so my website, I've created a website that says challenge.lovejoy, my last name, .today. So you can have love and joy today, and then / pep talk. And so I've got a free resilience tracker on there, and that is the best way for me to help you assess where you are today and all of those dimensions that we talked about, and how do you get from A to B. So I also would like to offer a free coaching call with anybody who's stuck, who says, I don't know, I feel like physical resilience or vocational resilience is my thing right now. And so that is the best way to connect with me right there. And I can drop that in the links if you want, because I know it's kind of a long one to remember.
Yeah, please do. And thank you again so much for being with us. Thank you for your positive attitude, your positive message. I know it's going to, bless a lot of people out there. It's very inspiring. And just thank you for being part of the show today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you, Jim. And thank you for everybody for all you do. You're going to make it through this.
There you go. Have a good day now. And ladies and gentlemen, it's really amazing how, we're able to bring these messages to you, and most importantly, encourage you to be able to be part of what we're doing, and also pay it forward. If you know some of these speakers at speakerspathway.com, you can go there and look at the messages of inspiration and hope and support. If you see a message there like Kimberly gave today, or like Joe or Katie, and they can help someone that you know of, please share that message with them. I'm Jim Grant, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Very quickly, we got 3 new guests be with us: Dr. Karen Perkins, Lucia Berry, and Laura Early Goldstein. We hope to see you then. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope this program blessed you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.